met her among the graves, married her within weeks, and every night since, she vanishes at the stroke of midnight. Asterisk, I met her among the tombstones, beneath grey Wiltshire skies and trees heavy with crows. She wore black, not in mourning, but like the night itself had dressed her, and her eyes, a stormy silver, met mine with a strange familiarity I couldn't explain. It was autumn, the cemetery damp with fog, and I was there visiting my mother's grave when I saw her kneeling by an old, crumbling headstone with no name. She looked up and said, "He never came back." I thought she was mad, but something about the way she smiled, half hope, half heartbreak, held me in place. Her name was Lillian, and over the next few weeks, we met by coincidence, or perhaps not. She was always at the graveyard, always by that nameless stone. She never said who it belonged to, and I never asked. She'd walk with me afterwards, down to the River Avon, talk about books, poems, lost things. There was an elegance to her that didn't belong to this era, like she'd stepped out of a painting in an old manor house. I fell for her fast, helplessly, like she'd been written into my life long before I was born. One night I kissed her in the graveyard under the moonlight, and she didn't pull away, she only whispered, "Are you sure you want this?" And I said yes, because I'd never been more sure of anything. We married in a small chapel near Bath, no guests, no priest, just a registrar who looked uneasy, and a cold wind that shook the trees. That night we moved into a cottage at the edge of town, and for the first few hours, everything felt real, and the clock struck midnight, and I turned to find our bed empty, the door open, her gone. I searched the entire house, no trace, but in the morning, she returned, barefoot and pale, crawling into bed like nothing happened. I asked where she'd gone. She just said, "I always disappear," and every night after, she did. At exactly 12 o'clock, whether we were speaking, laughing, or making love, she vanished, no sound, no trace, just the cold breeze that always followed her absence. I thought I was dreaming. I set up cameras. They showed her dissolving into smoke like a shadow swallowing itself. I begged her to tell me the truth. She finally confessed. She died in 1884. The grave she knelt by the day we met was her own. Her lover Thomas had promised to come back from war, but he never did. She waited for him until the fever took her, and somehow, something grief, longing, unfinished love brought her back, but only at night, and only until midnight. "I thought you were him," she whispered one evening, tears falling from eyes that had cried a century. "But you're not, you're someone else, and yet I still love you. I should have run, I should have left, but I couldn't. I was in too deep. So I searched for a way to keep her. One found an old manuscript in the cathedral archives, an ancient rite, one that bound a soul to flesh, dangerous, forbidden. I tried it. I spilled my own blood into the earth beside her grave and read the Latin aloud beneath a blood moon. She screamed when the spell fell to the ground, convulsing. I thought I'd killed her again, but when she woke, she was still there. At 12:01, 12:30, 2 a.m., morning came, and she was still in my arms. Alive, real, but not the same. Her eyes colder, her smile distant. She stopped speaking. She'd just sit by the window and stare at nothing. Days passed, then weeks. She grew paler, her skin colder, and then she began to rot. Slowly, her fingers first, then her lips. She wouldn't eat, wouldn't move, wouldn't sleep. just whispered, "You shouldn't have tried to keep me." I tried everything: priests, psychics, doctors, but nothing worked. One night, I found her standing barefoot on the railway tracks behind the cottage. "It's time," she said. "Let me go," I screamed, cried, begged. But she kissed me one last time, her lips cracked and bleeding, and whispered, "Thank you for loving me when no one else remembered I existed." And then she stepped forward and vanished. Train, no sound, just mist. I still live in that cottage. I still visit her grave. I still hear her voice at midnight, sometimes calling my name. And every time the clock strikes 12, I look over at the empty side of the bed, waiting, hoping not for a ghost, but for the memory of a love that was never meant to last forever.